Oh, hello. Ooh, blame that on my daughter, but it was really me trying to get it to work for a remote podcast that I tried to do with someone super awesome, but we just couldn't figure out the tech. Does that make me old? I think that probably makes me sound pretty old that I couldn't figure out technology working this any moment. Yeah, the learning curve of technology and podcasting pretty steep and frustrating at times. But I keep telling myself there's 13 million podcasts out there or whatever it is now. I can figure it out. I'm not going to be the only one that's not going to. That's always given me, it's always been one of those, gives me strength type of deals. If I'm coming up on something new or hard, maybe that's weird, but I just think no one has done this before. I can do this. Felt that way in the military a lot. Um, yeah, people join the military all the time, right? I can do it. I can make it through basic training or fill in the blank, air assault, try out. Just wasn't even a real thing, by the way. You should read my book about that story, air assault tryout. We were in a non-deployable unit. In case you haven't read the book, give you the little cliff note. Non-deployable unit, no chance of doing anything super cool. Randomly, we get thrown a bone that there is an air assault tryout. We don't know what air assault is. Air assault is the Black Hawk Down rappelling out of the helicopter on top of a roof type deal. Badass. And they do, like, they tie up special knots to get stuff like lifted off the ground by a crazy Chinook, stuff like that. It was going to be super awesome. I was so stoked about it. I was super nervous about it. No way that I'm ready to actually do army stuff and like try out for something. So it's been in here, isn't it? So long story short, we were late for the tryout. That's how shit, in regards to that stuff. Yeah, late to the tryout, so I wouldn't know how hard it actually was. But loop us back around. I kept telling myself, people have made it through aerosol school. I can make it through aerosol school, no problem. Yeah, so I have to constantly remind myself of technology, and I also have to remind myself that this is something being podcast, something that has been, gonna just say it, God has kind of like put this in my wife and I's life right now of we need to do a podcast and this is part of our expansion. Expansion been a word for us, I would say this year, but really in the past maybe 6 months or so. It all started kind of whenever our newborn, 4 months now, was born. But that was around the time that the book came out, book was done and published. And we just have so many goals that we want to do. Having that book out felt like a big deal to us. And I say us because my wife is the one that edited that entire thing, line by line, word by word. We just felt so connected on an even deeper level than what we are. We've been married 12 years, going on 13, and he is CFF. He's Bay for sure. Something about it, like we just connected and we are on the same page and the same team. This word came to us and her specific expansive. He's starting another business, which makes for real, I think, 4 businesses. I've lost count that she is full of now. That that expansive, it's great for our mindset. That word expansive means like growing, right? And it's not for monetary. Monetary? It's not for money. It's really for family and to be able to spend more time with our family. Yes, you need money to be able to do that and live the life that we want to live, but more expanding into things make us money that don't take us away from our family, puts us with our family. And so this, I just keep telling myself, this podcast, this learning, there's chords that I don't even know what they go to, but they go to something that's important for two different cameras. Like, I just keep telling myself this is part of the expansive. Do not get off of God's calling for you, and this is important. So don't quit just because it's hard, feels hard. Because what is hard even? Trying to set up some technology is hard, kind of mentally. But I think maybe it's a guy thing. When guys think of hard, they think of hard physical thing, hard mental things. I think it's easy to just like snap right on over. Hard mental things I think are tougher to get through than hard physical things. Because physical things, you can actually turn off your body. You can decide, I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to quit. I'm going to stop doing that physical thing that's hard that's making me feel uncomfortable. But if it's a hard mental thing, it's much more difficult to turn off your brain, get it to stop thinking about that difficult thing. That makes sense. That for sure makes sense. So yeah, big old breath. Glad to be on here. I am fresh to like a week off of our trip from Miami. If you listened to the last solo one that we did, we were on our way to Miami. Came out in Miami and we talked about the Cuban food. It did not disappoint. Although I will say they switched up the bread a little bit and I didn't appreciate it. Jen's gonna hate me for saying this. The bread was a little bit thicker on that Cuban sandwich and they didn't hand sear, hand fry the bread with the sandwich. Still great. Still great sandwich. But I'm gonna bite next month. Better fucking tighten up. Cuban restaurant in the back of the hotel. Collins. Okay? Moreno's. Talking to you. Tighten up that Cuban bread on that Cuban sandwich, okay? And that Miami was something different this time. And take Miami out of it if you've never been to Miami. But it felt like it was our first time experiencing like paradise. And that I've been thinking it's probably because it was our newborn's first time there, first time at a very special place for us. So Jen and I knew everything was new to her, and I wanted to have that same outlook. I wanted everything to be new to me too. Not getting rid of our normal routine because that's one of the main reasons why we love Miami so much is because we have a routine there. But being open to new things. The ocean and the beach felt different this time. You know when you get out in nature and you have deep breath and it just it's recharging. Not that I thought that I needed to be recharged. It was just doing it for me. And it felt grander this time. Everything bigger. Sand felt softer under my feet. The waves were perfect. The sky was blue. The clouds were huge. Everything I just felt bigger appreciation and I think reverence, probably the best term for what I felt the whole trip. Reverence for being able to be with my family, reverence for the ocean. We tried some new stuff, which was some Bax and across the street to the Bass Museum of Art, maybe, and the art was awesome. Oh man, okay. So they had Miami art, which Tyson she is of the age now where he is starting to enjoy the things that I enjoy and that Jen enjoys. it's awesome because now she is truly like a little buddy, like the best little buddy. He's always down. Hey, you want to go to a museum? Yeah, I want to go to a museum. She loves it just as much as I do. We went over there about that. We went over to the Bass Museum of Art. They were getting ready for some big event the next week, so they had the second floor blocked off, whatever. They had this awesome art where it was from Miami, the Miami International Airport in the 90s. There was all these old school TV screens. Like there was probably 10 of them, all playing different things or all playing the same thing in this sculpture. And it was so cool, just so original. I love shit like that, just original stuff. And it felt so Miami. When you look at art like that, I just think that came from somebody's mind and only their mind. It's not even a painting where you kind of know that, okay, I'm going to paint something. Okay, what are you going to paint? This was a whole new art form. A bunch of old tube TVs sculpted together to make this thing, and you have to put the thing that's on what you want on the screen. I mean, it was so original and so fresh. So that was in one kind of side. They had different little things. Then on the other side, this was the first time that I experienced art. You have to stop and think about the art because you always hear that piece of art really makes you stop and think. And it's just, okay, shut up, door. Keep it moving. I don't believe you. I totally get it now, and this is why. Big open room. I'm gonna say, I mean, the size of a house. That big of an open room. 2,000 square feet, probably. Big open room. It's white. There is different colors of old carpet cut up, and that is hanging on the wall, making nothing in particular as soon as you walk in. Then in the middle of the room is a perfect cube made old yet from a house in a perfect cube, and the cube is not hollow. I learned from the art gallery person. So if you visualize just a cube, just a perfect cube, now think probably 1,000 square foot cube made up of chairs, sofas, refrigerators, end tables, uh, beds, bed frames, shit that would be in your attic or in storage, and all the tiny stuff. There was even pens, markers, forks, and spoons, and big spaghetti makers and mixers. Anything that's in your house. All of your worldly possession was in this 1,000 square foot perfectly, I mean, perfect I bet if you put a level on that thing, it was perfectly level, vertically, horizontally. And I instantly got it. I felt so cool. I instantly got it. I was like, you're having to face everything that you own. And look how shitty and unwelcoming and doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. Oh, this is all the stuff that we put all of this weight into and all of this power into. Well, here it is, right in front of you. Here's all your stuff. All that stuff that you grind. I grind, bro. Oh, really? Okay. Put it all in a pile, make it a perfect cube, and then look at it. Completely worthless, and it doesn't bring you joy. I instantly was mind blown. This thing. Exon started looking. She was like stuff from a house. I was like, yeah, this would be like if we took all of our stuff from our house, set it in the middle. Even she, huh, nothing crazy. She's sick, but she got it for sure. I was, I couldn't stop staring at it. I couldn't stop thinking about it for at least the rest of the day, if not into the next day. But a cool little aside to that, on the opposite wall from the random carpet it was the actual carpet cut from this artist's um, house growing up, her childhood home. You just cut the carpet out of it so you can see like where the TV stand was, and where the bed was, and how her room was shaped. It was just so cool. So cool. So good job, Miami. And then Pax and I continued our little art day. There's been in this art gallery that we walk by on Collins there in South Beach all the time. We walk by it all the time. Just never stopped in for a different reason, but at the time, the strip, and we stopped in and we spent probably an hour in there just stressing the art gallery people out because she's barefoot and we had like a smoothie from across the street. She's like drinking it, but holding it by the top, holding it by the lid. But we just continued just looking at this cool art, and it was art that vibes with me. Get the artist name, but the painting looks old school, but he has new modern day characters in it. So it might be this palace from 1700s, say 1700s France, but Homer Simpson in color is sitting on the stairs and an ostrich next to him, like a Balenciaga neon sign, stuff like that. It was just so cool. There's sculptures in there, like street art style. I just loved it. We hit up Kith ice cream 3 times, I think. I think every night we were there, did Kith ice cream. Yeah, we came in, our newborn killed it. She took naps on the beach, dipped her in the ocean, and we had one of those moments where we realized that we are not normal parents, normal people in general, because we took our 4-month old in the ocean. Because why wouldn't we want her to have feel it, one, and two, get all that energy from the ocean? You know how much just energy is coming from those waves? She loved not a single cry. It's also crazy if you ever put a baby in water and like held them by their tummy, kind of not face down, but like their head out of the water, they will immediately start swimming, moving their little baby arms and kicking their little baby legs. They know. It was so cool. Then we went up and we played tennis. And I guess this guy that had seen us down at the beach earlier that day just came up and just complimenting us like crazy that our are so cool and that it's so special, and to the point where I was, thank you. Yeah, that was cool, and we just ate good food, and Jen and I watched the original Fast and Furious. Oh my God, I'm so glad I remember that. One of our guilty pleasures when we go on vacation is watching hotel room, just plain old TV, regular TV as we call it. No streaming, just straight cable TV. What do we instantly turn to? FX, TNT. It's gonna be a movie on there. What was on? Fast and Furious. What's Jen and I's favorite movie franchise? Fast and Furious. The original Fast and Furious. We picked up about halfway through when they're at Race Wars out in the desert. Desert Wars? Race Wars out in the desert. And Jesse fucks up and he races Johnny Tran, and then it starts going down. Dude, the original, it still holds up. It's so good. It's so good. Yep, so we did that. Came home, everybody got sick. I think except for Paxton because she's a psycho and she would never tell us that she was actually sick. We just think Logan, our 4-month old, he's just never been around that many people before. He doesn't go to daycare, so never. He's always with us. And so, like, nasty plane and nasty airport. Got a little cough. Boogies. So, yeah, we were just right back into it last week and this week. Did want to talk about what is the appropriate fingernail length for men's have? Because my wife says that I am obsessed with having short nails. I don't think that I'm obsessed with having short nails. I just know that I don't like my nails long. I don't like them for sure sticking out over, like if you press on the bottom of your finger, I don't like them sticking out over your actual flesh. That's insane to me because that's so much white and it bothers the shit out of me if I'm typing and my little fingernails are clanking on the keys. How do people with long fingernails get anything done? How do you type on your phone? How do you type on your computer? How? And then she reminded me of the story that I'm going to tell now that I might have some trauma around. So I need to know what an actual, I'm trying to going through something right now with my fingernails. I'm trying to make something appropriate, an appropriate length. But it's a funny story. So in the military, in the army, I went to a school called WLC, an acronym, of course, for Warriors Leaders Course. I think they call it some, for sure, call it something else now. This is a course for enlisted people that the Army pegs as wanting to be a non-commissioned officer. We go to the school, I think it's 8 days, maybe a week. We'll call it a week. And they just teach you leadership stuff about the Army and just in general. Learn how to public speak. You learn how to come up with a battle plan. You learn how to communicate over radio with a helicopter, flanking procedures. You know, you learn how to lead a platoon of people, a squad of people, PT, and all this different stuff. Actually, pretty cool, and definitely met some of the craziest people that I've ever met in the military there. They are definitely tankers and the infantry. Those dudes are absolutely batshit crazy. Anyways, part of that is you work for, let's call it 3 days to come up with this presentation on a military history topic. My military history topic that I picked was recent recipient of the Medal of Honor that was my age and got the Medal of Honor. Al Junta, you can look him up. Anyways, then at the end of that, you present it to a board of sergeant majors or super upper enlisted dudes and ladies that have been in the Army for 20 plus years at this point. Super salty, super intimidating. And you give your presentation, and then your teacher, basically your cadre, take you out and like give you all the feedback from them. So do mine. It's teaching you public speaking and not getting super overwhelmed by having to public speak in front of bosses or whatever. Because you never know, you might have to live a battle plan. That was their mindset. So I get up there, my armpits are sweating for sure, obviously, and I start giving my presentation. I get through all my points, and I'm waiting out in the hallway for my teacher basically to come out and give me my pointers. And this is a staff sergeant, so he's two pay grades above me. That's like the teacher. He comes out and is like, "Hey, you did a great job. You were sweating, but whatever, you made it through. You knew your topic." Ba, 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 ba. He said, "Why are your fingernails so fucked up?" As an MP, I thought that y'all had to be squared away. Looked down and I realized, yeah, I didn't bring a nail trimmer because one, who brings a nail trimmer for a week-long trip? And two, I don't know, I just like bit them off because they were a little bit thick and long. And he was like, yeah, we could tell. Ah, ah, soft in his face. So yeah, I think I probably still have a little bit of trauma from that. Probably just that. And hey, it's my personal preference, Jen. If you're listening to this, I don't like my fingernails clanking on the keys whenever I'm writing. I'm a writer now. Sorry about it. Yeah, what else is going on? I would talk about our sauna and cold plunge, but I'm all set on hearing sauna and cold plunge stories. I have been journaling recently about how awesome it is when you have kids and you can see their minds have like gone into another level of critical thinking and just thinking for themselves. We try our best to limit our screen time in our house. So we'll call it less than an hour a day. It's really 45 minutes because that seems to be the guidelines from much different pediatricians and studies that we've seen because screen time and I mean we know for a fact screen time can lead to developmental problems, socialization, adjustment to the real world. So that's why our family chooses to limit it anyways. When we go places like a yesterday we went somewhere that was about 40 minutes away one. So I told Pikes, hey, this is 40 minutes one way. That's about your entire days of screen time. But if you want to use your iPad on the road and also watch TV later, let's figure something out here. And it wasn't even me having to tell her, it was her coming up with the solution itself. Just mind blowing to me. And Jen and I were just singing her praises. So she figured it out on her own. And we gave her the room. It's just been awesome to see what is kind of also awesome, but funny. So we try to, we homeschool. We try to have homeschool field trips where we meet up with other homeschool kids throughout the week, or at least once every other week has been our goal, or at least is our goal now. And yesterday we were supposed to go to a farm field trip where they teach you how to milk a cow and just teach you about all this stuff. And you're on a farm. It's going to be super awesome. But it had been raining here for the past couple of days or so. So it got pushed to next week. But we still wanted to fill that time and find something for her and I to do. So we found a pumpkin patch that was 40 minutes away, but it also has a petting zoo. They held it. So she was moderately excited about it. She had never been to a pumpkin patch, I guess, whatever that. She just didn't know what that actually meant. And so, um, oh, no, not that way. So she just didn't know what a pumpkin patch was. And we got there, and she's always excited whenever other kids are there because she gets to run around and be a kid. She knows that we don't like limit her. If there's other kids there, go run around literally in the woods, your little barefoot self. So there was another school bus there. We're we're lukewarm about it. We're excited, but whatever. What is this? So we get there, and pumpkin patch, whatever. You're paying $20, and you get the tiniest little basic cup feed to feed the animals at the petting zoo, which turns out it was just llama, a couple donkeys, a couple pigs, sheep. Which okay, fine. But I think she was expecting like a zoo. Let me maybe ride that llama. What's up with it? So we blazed through the petting zoo in about 3 minutes. There's a little hay maze, and then we do a hay ride. The other kids are like having to sit down and eat lunch, I guess, or whatever, like the school bus kids. And so we were hoping by the time we were done that they were like going to be running around. Oh, no, no, no. Public school kids, they have strict itinerary. Those kids ate and then they stood in line, got back on that bus, and we just looked at that. That's it for the pumpkin patch. A bunch of pumpkins. Yep, just a bunch of pumpkins. He just kind of like looked around and was like, okay, can we go home? Yeah, we can go. It was good. I was talking to my brother afterwards. And he said, it's just good to show them like not everything's just this awesome, super entertaining thing all the time. Yeah, that's true. not going to be like that, and it doesn't have to be like that. But yeah, I also finished a book, speaking book, called Pain Dynasty, and it's on the Sackler family and their involvement in the Oxycontin, the Oxycontin health crisis, basically, epidemic, the opioid epidemic. Man, that is a crazy family, and I have mixed feelings about it, I guess. I don't think I have mixed feelings, but I'll give it, long story short, I'll give you the cliff notes here. First of all, great book, 5-star, would recommend. I love investigative journalism, and this book was investigative journalism at its finest. I had just come off reading Killers of the Flower Moon, also amazing investigative journalism about the Osage tribe, Native American tribe. Het- okay, one book at a time. We'll review that one later. But investigative journalism, and I just know the work that it takes just to gather all the information and not go down complete rabbit holes, but you have to talk about all of these characters to get a sense of what this family was like. In this family, the original dude, Arthur Sackler, he was the one that brought pharmaceutical marketing into what we know it as today. So think all of those ads in magazines and on TV. That's this guy back in the 50s and 60s with Valium. And so he started marketing Valium and all these crazy ads, and then started his own like medical board to make it look legit. All these medical reviews that was not, it was just him coming up with them. So anyways, they just continued that, got super rich, and bought Purdue Pharma, a pharmaceutical company that was making like laxatives and earwax, just super earwax removal, just super middle of the road basic stuff. They wanted to up their game, so they formulated Oxycontin. And it was, I mean, obviously wildly successful, but the whole book is about how the Sackler family also was big in philanthropy. They were big into the arts and education. So they would donate big sums of money to huge schools, think Harvard, Columbia, NYU, and they would have whole buildings named after them because they donated all this money. They had a whole wing at the Met, the museum in New York City. They had a whole wing in the Louvre in Paris. Just insane stuff because they give so much money to these museums and the arts and these universities. They throw their name on there. Meanwhile, they're selling Oxycontin, knowing that it's addictive and killing hundreds of thousands of people with addiction. And they fought it the whole way, saying, they turn it around and put it on the people saying, well, these are just addicts that are misusing the medication. If they did it under a doctor's care, they would never get addicted and die like this. Turns out, obviously, completely false. And they knew all along that it was super addictive. Spoiler alert. But it was just the dynamic of this family is actually doing somewhat decently good stuff with their money by donating to higher education and the arts. But on the other hand, making one of the worst substances humans have ever known. And the author makes it clear that it wasn't the only opioid that was a part of the opioid crisis, but it was like when I say opioid, what do you think of? Oxycontin, probably, right? It's very well written. And it just makes me think of, I don't think that I'm mad at that family personally because they're playing the game that our government and us as a society have decided to play capitalism. And I don't have anything against capitalism at all, but the FDA approved their drug, albeit probably through some shady tactics by them. But hey, don't have shady people. They'll be open to shady tactics. You won't get shady tactics. FDA approved drug. Pharmacies are selling it because they're making money off of it. Doctors are prescribing it because guess what? They're getting kickbacks, making money off of it. So I don't think I can blame. I don't know. It's tough because I think if they were to pull that off the market and not sell it, do we think that somebody would have just taken its place, like whatever Johnson and Johnson's opioid, which they do have, to just fill that void? Probably right. I think so. It's tough. You should read it. It's called Pain Dynasty. Definitely on my recommended list. It was funny. Didn't know this week she had come off of like 3 book self-help type books in a row, 3 nonfiction. This be a better person in whatever aspect of your life, and I'd come off 3 kind of heavy nonfiction books of uh, Pillars of the Flower Moon, Pain Dynasty, and another like self-help type book. We both just looked at each other and said, "Can we just get a nice like mystery fiction novel, please?" Yeah, I went and got it. He likes whodunit type books. It's like murder mystery. Oh, did the husband do it, or did the door neighbor's maid do it? Oh my god, and they're in love. This is crazy. But yeah, we're reading those happy months. Like I've expanded my type of book that I read because I think it's important to, especially as a writer, to just expand your mind and expand what is even possible in your mind. And before I would just read typical dad novels, Brad Thor, which I still love. Uh, Brad Thor novels about like military action, just shoot 'em up. Like the modern day Western, spaghetti Western type book. But I really expanded my thought process and thinking, man, I need to get into sci-fi and fantasy and murder mystery and all of that just to expose myself and expose my mind to different writing styles because I can take something from that and make it my own in my own writing style. And it gives me encouragement, just like art gallery that came from somebody's mind. Well, this sci-fi book that I'm reading right now, that whole world came from somebody's mind, and I find that super motivating. It gives me a little boost of confidence that I can come up with my own world, which is really cool. And you don't know until you try. So I've tried sci-fi fantasy books, and I like them. So this one that I'm reading is called Name of the Wind. It's been cool. A little Harry Potter-ish. She's about to go to school to learn magic, basically. So it's been cool. Um, yeah. Speaking engagement. Wait, you can't say the name. Uh, can't say. It was a professional sports team that I got the opportunity to go hang out with for the day. And the speaking engagement, and I have another one tomorrow. Nope, on Saturday. Not with the sports team, but it's been cool to step into that, talk about expansive. Get to go talk about my book and tell silly stories and tell a little serious part of it, kind of like an underlying, well, what can you learn from your time in the military that you didn't do anything, but you did get these cool, crazy stories. So that's been awesome. Expanding into public speaking, which is crazy. That think of that. So I'll give you the short version of how I can be a public speaker when I just wrote a ridiculous book about crazy little funny stories called Expectations. That's the title of it. And obviously, I had way different expectation for what my time in would be like versus what it actually was. and how I was able to navigate that and find the gift in an unmet expectation. For example, I thought that I was for sure going to war. I mean, I signed up at a time when there was actually two wars going on in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I never got deployed for either one of those. So that's a pretty big letdown, a pretty big unmet expectation. But what can I do with that? Well, you can sit in that sadness and depression, that darkness, or, and this took me a little bit, 5 to 10 years maybe, or you can realize that there's a gift somewhere in there. Somewhere in that unmet expectation, there's a gift. For me, that was the gift of finding my actual purpose, my actual passion, being a stay-at-home dad. I get to do that. Serving, helping my wife out, being able to do that. So that is my gift in that unmet expectation. And that gift is being able to enjoy the present moment with the people that are there with you. But yeah, that's part of I get 15 minutes and I get to open up for my boy, Nick Lavery. And it's been awesome. So we'll see how it goes. So, and I love the fall. Cooler weather. Though I think we're skipping straight to like 30-degree, but whatever. Been awesome. Get to wear pants, start a little fire, get night. Definitely having a pizza movement with Day. We just finished a nice little show on Netflix and just wonderful. But yeah, and that's it for now. See you guys next time. Hopefully, no technical difficulties and we can have that guest on because it's going to be awesome. All right. Bye bye.